I love racing because it's just a whole different atmosphere compared to normal life at home and everything. And obviously travelling around the country, it's like a holiday every weekend, and it's obviously really nice, and you've got all different friends there, and they all know you really, really good compared to other friends. And it's just really nice to have people supporting you and people understanding that what you're going through, and people that understand you compared to other people outside of racing. Like, it's a whole different atmosphere, and it's obviously really, 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 really good, and good sport. I'm Hudson Cooper, and I won the Ohvale 110 Cup for 2022. I got into racing because I started on like trials biking, and I always watched MotoGP and stuff like that, so I always wanted to go up that route and eventually get there. But at the start we started trials biking, and we just started trials biking and always started there. That's where we started.
It began with me, with Hudson. Obviously I've had an interest in bikes, not that I was an amazing bike rider myself. Obviously it's rubbed off on him. Thinking bike, wow. So I've always had motorbikes. When my wife was pregnant with Hudson, I actually had an R6 bike. And I decided to get rid of that bike when she was pregnant with him. Obviously riding on the roads is a bit of a risky business. And I'm not saying that I forced it upon Hudson, really. It's a strange one. We just always had bikes. I can always remember me, I don't know if you've talked about this already, so we were basically at the retail park, and there were a little ride on an electric bike that were like a 12-volt bike. And we were just, I think I were up there actually buying some like DJing stuff. And Hudson were like walking around with me. He must have been like 2 years old. And there was this ride on bike, and we pulled it down. And I pressed the button on it, and it was still charged up. So I like, oh, get on it, mate. So like, it must have been 2. I'm sure I've still got the video footage. Like, jumped on it, and he like rode through the shop, up and down one of the aisles. I think it was like Tandy or Electronics Booty. I forgot what name the company were. Anyway, so he rode up and down there, and I sent a video to Tony, like saying, look at him on this bike here. So it had like stabilisers. That to me is like, felt like a turning point. I don't know if it were a turning point, just like the start. He got that bike. We went out loads on that bike round Ohvale where we live. I mean, like, this bike went like 2 miles an hour, but he loved it. I got him like a little motocross helmet for it, got him some motocross gear, Postman Pat knee sliders that we had for his push bike. And he really, really like enjoyed buzzing around on that, and that was like the start, really.
6 years old when I started that, where I got my trials bike, and from there on we started trials biking, and then I can remember being in the living room and like making little simulators with like little toys and stuff like that, and having MotoGP and sitting in front of the telly and always doing that. We used to go like in the woods and like just like have a razz about in the woods, and like all my dad's friends, they all used to go on the push bikes, and they always used to take like one battery and put it in the backpack so we could stop out the full day and just have a razz about and have fun. My first powered bike was like, we were I think we were going to get some security cameras, and we went into this like shop, and it were all like electronics and stuff. And at the back of the shop, on one of the shelves, it had like a little like 12-volt toy, like little bike, with like stabilisers on and stuff, and like a little motorbike, and we got it down, and my dad said jump on it, and I started riding it around the shop, and then that day my dad bought it and stuck it in, I think, yeah, he bought it there, and then for Christmas I got it then, and it was like a little 12 volt toy, and it had like a little button on handlebars, and you barely used to get round our local park, but that was like my first bike, like powered bike. Yeah, I had that, and then on the up in our loft we had these little petrol mini motos, and we tried them on the road, and we did like a couple lengths up and down road, and then my dad, I think for my 5th birthday or 6th, we got a little electric mini moto, and my dad sprayed it like in Marc Marquez Repsol colours, so it looked proper good, and then we used to just like razz around on the road and stuff like that, and it had road tyres on it, so we couldn't go off-road with that. I don't think we ever went off-road with that, but we used to razz around on like set cones up on road and do like races and stuff like that. And then after that, we obviously got my Osset, and that was like the first, before my mini moto, I got a quad. So this weren't like a toy, this was like proper quad, electric quad, and that was like the first time we went like off-road and stuff like that. So it was like a little quad, like 50 cc size, and it was pretty good, and we used to go out on that. And then obviously we got that mini moto and stuff, and then we got my Osset for I think my 7th birthday. We got my Osset, and then we went out on that, and that was so much more like torquey and powerful compared to that little mini moto, and I love that. What got me into racing is the fact that like I'm quite a competitive person, and like always trying to beat everyone, and just like I just liked racing and having a rank compared to other people, and then just being yourself. Just like I like to compare to myself to other people, if you know what I mean. But that's what I liked about racing. It like kind of just started because obviously we used to watch MotoGP and that, and we did trials biking just for fun, and then we started entering competitions, and I was getting top 3s, top 5s. Just I were doing good at that, and then I just said to my dad one day, I want to race. I don't want to be going slow through woods. I want to race people fast, and we went to go try some leathers on, and as we were trying the leathers on, the people, I didn't know this at the time, but the people who went to go try them on for, my dad bought them off them, and then we went to I forgot the name of the track. It was anyway. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But went there, and I had my little Osset, and we were like, well, can we go on track with the Osset? And the guy there said, well, as long as you've got leathers, you can go on track. So obviously we stuck my leathers on, went on track, and that was like my first time on track. It were a bit too big of a track to say. I were on a little Osset, but that's like where we kind of started. And then at Christmas we bought a SM90 110, not 110, 1010, and that's how we started. We got into Ohvale stuff because like that was like the next steps from the 90, and obviously I came 3rd in the 90s, and I think I did 2 years in 90s. And like my first year was just like kind of getting used to it, and then in the second year, obviously a bit more competitive, getting higher and higher in the rankings, and then it was just like we were hiring Arnie Carr's bike for the winter series, and we did some test days and stuff and that, and obviously I was getting used to the Ohvales, and then it was just like kind of the next step, and it just came on like that. And I think it were Christmas. I think we got the Ohvale then. Well, the Ohvales, they handle really nicely compared to the 90s, obviously. And obviously a lot more torquier and stuff, so it was just kind of cool being in like racing a GP bike compared to racing a pit bike. And it just like when I first got it, it was just like a mini MotoGP bike. Like it just looks amazing.
Thinking about the Ohvales and how the Ohvales come into the sport. So when we first started this championship or started racing, that there was that didn't exist. The mini GPs weren't really a thing. The Ohvales certainly weren't a thing. And everybody, when we first started, we thought that the Supermoto 90s, you'd probably stick a 140 engine in this Supermoto and you could race that until you're 16-year-old. On the flip side of that, how it's all sealed engines, everybody's on the same bike, you can't modify them, the best rider basically wins. I think that's a positive step. Like the Ohvales and the Mini GP World Championship, like they are heading in a direction that you've got to admire, that you think there's riders from all the way around the world, like 32 riders from all the way around the country, like the world. That's amazing. It's a step in the right direction. Hopefully everybody's pushing towards that. That's something that Hudson wants to inspire to get to eventually. Getting to them world finals will be amazing. That's another target that he'd like to do. But I think it's a positive thing, and Pete's putting that in place a little bit because that weren't there for him. That weren't there for him. He were mini moto riding. There were no mini GP bikes. I don't know if Pete come into it late, but there were none of that for Pete either. So he's trying to put things in place that makes it better for the kids of today, which I think is a positive step.
Like Peter Hickman is obviously the importer for the UK, and obviously he comes to some of the rounds and sometimes helps riders, and he's just generally helping and doing some of the socials, and obviously he's got his own business, and that helps a lot as well. Yeah, I went down to Peter Hickman's because we went to go drop the bike off, and then whilst we were there we got a tour of the workshop and everything, and we've seen some really cool bikes and stuff. And then we did a podcast, which you can go check out on my channel, and we did a podcast and interview, and it was really good. We dropped his bike off, and then we went to Motorcycle Live, and my bike was on his stand with my helmet and stuff on the stand and that was really good as well.
So that's we run our super bikes on there and everything. So all the FHO super bikes.
Oh, you bring them through here, yeah?
Yeah. So we're doing full engine tune on them, so super sport tune. They're both Triumph 765s. They've had adjusters put in the back so that they can change the rear wheel really fast.
Dash on there. Not actually that big, is it, really?
Get his phone number and text him, say where you get it from or whatever. Think about service,
What they do.
It's probably a different mapping mode as well.
Yeah.
Maybe a pit limiter.
Yeah.
You can imagine that you'll be able to change modes on there, so you don't have to touch it, you can just do it on there, and you can flick through, do like wet mode. There'll be fuel save mode. That would clutch.
Yeah, that's clutch. That's brake.
That's that, isn't it?
You don't need gearing down. But you only have to use that on stand.
Yeah, no, he was happy. It's his first time on there, do you know what I mean? So he was
Another customer on either end. And then this is actually going to be my test bike, if you like, for Super Sport, for the TT.
Alright,
so
cool.
It's the same spec as what I'm going to race at the TT in 2022, 2023 even, and the same as what I ran this year. Them other two are customers, so he's having a load of bits done on that, so he wants brake lines and stuff, but because everything runs ABS nowadays, you have a big ABS pump at the back here, and you've got like brake lines running all over. This room is purely for engines only. We don't do anything but engines in here. So Dave, who's at the bench, this is his room. So he's got 2 engine stands. So basically the idea is he put an engine on, he has a trolley, and you can spin the whole engine upside down and everything while it's on there. So he can do whatever work he needs to it. He'll generally strip an engine to nothing. If you're doing a refresh, for example, it'll all go on the trolley. He'll order all the parts that he wants, because once you've stripped it, he'll then understand what parts he needs to order. Parts at the minute are a pain, so sometimes it's next day, sometimes it's 8-10 weeks.
Really?
It's a nightmare.
Still been a struggle then,
yeah. Parts are really, really bad from all suppliers. It's not just one, it's everyone. It's really, really tough. So that's where all your valves sit in the top one. So the pistons that you just saw and the head that you just saw off that BM, that's the crankcases, they're getting cleaned at the minute. So this is an automated parts washer. So it comes into here first, get rid of any thick, real bad grease, gets taken off with this first, gets put into here, shut the lid, hit the button, come back in an hour, everything's clean and dry. We've got a blaster as well if we need to blast anything. And more cleaners here because behind you is also the suspension room, so he uses a lot of this equipment as well for cleaning all the suspension. So this is where all the engines start once they've been stripped. And then in that room, so we class this as the clean room, and then in here is the dirty room. So we've got a lathe, that's the compressor that runs the whole building. And Dave does his own hand porting, head skimming, we do everything in here. Alright, if I show Hudson round. This is Woody. Woody's an official Ohvale technician. Hudson won the 110 Ohvale Cup this year.
I'll do that. Hold on.
Hit you, mate. Went down to the last race pretty much.
Did it?
Last race, you just had to stop on, didn't you? That's how it worked out. After Pete's advice saying, I think we changed the slicks on that race 2, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
And then race 3 we put wets on because we thought it was going to rain, and it did rain.
It did rain, yeah. Obviously Woody does all sorts of suspension, whether it be front forks, steering dampers, shocks, rebuild, service, anything you need. Revalving, a whole lot, yeah. Does a lot of motocross stuff, don't you, mate?
Yeah, probably 70% motocross.
Yeah.
And then the rest between supermoto and road racing. So.
If you go to a supermoto race or a motocross race, most of the time you'll see that logo on.
Yeah.
So obviously the whole graphics room, so we've got his 3 printers in there, and then through to the left we've got a laminating machine. Wow. So we can vehicle wrap as well. So he makes things like this. So this sort of picture on an acrylic.
Oh wow.
As well as canvases. Well, you name it, you can print it. You can do it. Yeah, so we've got a new gear linkage system.
Oh, we've seen. Yeah, there's a new.
Which they were all using on the ones that goes onto your chassis. And then it runs a linkage off there, so you actually got like a conventional changing how much it floats and where.
Wow.
It's not quite as simple as what everyone thinks. And it's a bit of trial and error. Like, there's loads of people having a go at us. Oh, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. I'm like, do you even know how it works? We've got like they are leaves.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So that is from
so
the 20.
Like a tradition. What's cracking the wreath thing? Is it just like a tradition?
Yeah, it's a bit of an old thing, really. Yeah, everyone used to get a laurel.
Wow.
When you're on the podium, that's what you used to get.
Is that what you call it, a laurel?
Yeah, call them a laurel. That's from the 22 race on Super Sport race 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was one of the first Evos that came. So that's actually a 5-speed gearbox.
Oh right. Yeah.
You know that 190 12-inch up there?
Yeah.
Did that have that gear selector that you said?
Yeah.
Does it have that on it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Is that long?
Yeah. So that's all the spare parts from the super stock team that they're then turning into a bike.
Wow.
At the end of the year.
And the stocker and the
Yeah, it's like...
Just a button.
Wild, isn't it?
So,
Oh.
super stock TT bike that I won the TT race on. Super bike that won the super bike race and the senior race. And that's now Josh Brooks' bike, because obviously he's joined the team for 2023. And then that's my BSB super bike. Left hand side here we've got orange, green and white.
Yeah.
Green one's really simple, hold that, that's your pit lane speed limiter. See it flashes blue up at the front. It's flashing blue here because the engine's cold.
Yeah.
So when you start your engine that'll stay blue until it gets to a certain temperature, then it will go off. And then when you hold that button, the bike will only ever do 60 kilometres an hour or 38 miles an hour, it'll never go any faster. orange one at the top here, if I press it, a little light comes on.
Yeah.
So that's to remind me. Also, it changes it here. It's for engine braking, so we can change how fast the bike slows down. So we have 2 different types of maps. Normally we'd use 10 or 15% more 2-stroke towards the end of a race, so as the tyre loses grip, the bike obviously wants to go sideways. Yeah. So if you hit that button, it will pull it into line a little bit more, just gives it a little bit more 2-stroke. The white button is for ignition, so it does the same again, so a white light comes on. Normally similar sort of thing, so we don't run any traction control in BSB. Yeah. So once the tyre starts to go off, we can have maybe a little bit less ignition on the first pickup of the throttle, just to try and stop the tyre from spinning. So we can hit that and it will just calm it down a little bit. Okay. So we can do that while we're riding. We can't change the map while we're riding, we can just go between 1 and 2 or A and B. Yeah. On the back there's a button as well, which is for a rain light. That brings up a yellow light on the front. That's pretty much it. That's your ignition on off, but then there's a kill on off as well, so that's now live. Because if you press that, you see big red lights up at the top, that's to show that the kill button's on. So you press that and it's now live, and then if you hit the green button, is a separate part.
Well, it's then possibly.
Yeah.
What the lorry got it? Oh, I didn't realise it. Alright. Have a map, so the 2 sets give me a map check then. Hudson.
Alright, check
yeah. 1, 2. And P.
You're not meant to talk into it, you're just meant to talk.
Hey guys, welcome to HKC 217 podcast, powered by All Seasons Energy, and this podcast is sponsored by Ohvale. Yeah, could that be?
I don't know if it's sponsored by it.
No, not sponsored. But
am I getting an invoice after this? Is
no. But we're here anyway. I'm just going to say a couple of questions and you should answer.
You fire away. Actually, Minimoto wasn't my first bike, but I grew up around racing. So my dad used to race back in the 70s, race Grand Prix level as well, so my dad actually raced at Grand Prix.
Well yeah, like obviously parents are a big part, so my parents, I normally come home from school, get changed there normally, or we pack the caravan the day before. We'll pack the car and everything, pack the bikes and everything in the caravan. And then as I get home from school, my mum or my dad, it depends when they get home, they're already moving the caravan off the drive, we're getting up car ready, and then I go and get changed, and then we just kind of do last little bits and bobs, and then we set off to the weekend. Then obviously when we get there we have to set up. We've all got our own little jobs. I've got a couple of jobs like putting legs down on caravan and unpacking some at car. We've got certain areas and everything. Mum unloading caravan and sorting everything out so we can actually get in it. And then me and my dad, we always take the bikes out, so we had to pull the bike up in the middle and take it down caravan, and then a garage in the back. And then obviously we go, Mum always cooks tea and stuff, which is always really nice. And then in the morning we have some wraps for breakfast every morning, and then we obviously go to sessions and stuff, put tyre warmers on, and it's mostly my dad through the day doing that sort of stuff, and then Mum taking care of my sister and sorting out caravan and just keeping it nice.
I'm super proud of what he's done in biking. It's unbelievable where you think about where it's come. He started really late compared to some of the riders that he races with. Like some of these other kids that he races with, they've been on mini motors, like 4-year-old petrol mini motors, racing mini motors, a lot younger than where Hudson started. But yeah, like watching him, obviously you've got a balance of like being unbelievably proud, wanting him to do his best, and then unbelievably nervous in the middle of the track, watching him. I mean, like it's a weighing scale of emotion where you've got like immense proudness, nervousness of watching him race. It's a balance where you're thinking like, I've got him involved in this, I've facilitated this. On the flip side of that, like obviously what's happened this year has been, never in my wildest dreams would I have believed he would have won like a championship. I never even thought he would have won a race. I never even would have thought he would have podiumed a race when he first started. Ironically, like a strange fact that Hudson knows, that on the race that he won the championship on, which it went down to the final round, that is the only race that he's ever raced where he ever come last. Because on that final round of the championship, he had to just nearly pretty much finish that race. So that is the only race on record that he's ever come like last on, because he just had to stay on the bike all the way through from when he first started as a rookie, which it's like a weird stat that he won the championship and that was his only race that he's ever come last on. But he had to just stay on. I mean, like the nervousness of this year, I wouldn't say it's been a stressful year. It's been a good year. Obviously, watching him winning races, that's always good. He was winning races on his 90 last year. That's always good. Mostly
about race weekends I enjoy is like the fact that you got all your friends there. Like when you go to school, like 10%, like 5% at school know about motorbikes and want to talk about motorbikes with you. But at biking, like everyone's in the same boat. Everyone knows everything, and it's just like your best friends. And you just like, it's all nice after racing. And then on track, we all have respect for each other. No arguments or anything. Well, currently I'm in the BMB, run by Alan Lord, and I'm currently the championship I'm racing in is the Ohvale 110 and Ohvale 140. And I think that the BMB is like a good entry point for everyone. And like, for like let's say the 90s, that's like an amazing entry point. That's why we joined it, because like you could either hire a bike, buy a bike, so cheap. You could just start. You don't need anything, and it's such a good entry point for kids. And then it's got a nice progressive pass up through it, progressive path through it, and it's all nice and organised and everything.
So we decided to join the BMB Championship. It was a kind of an obvious choice on what championships to choose. So Hudson had rode, as you've probably touched on, trials bikes. So I chose this SM90 bike because of the trials style that that particular bike was. And having the supermoto bike, it related to the trials biking that Hudson had already rode. That's why we chose that championship. And again, we went in there, we did not know nobody in that championship whatsoever. When we went out practicing, finding local tracks on this SM90, we come across, coincidentally, a couple of riders that were actually joining that year as well. So when we went into the paddock, we knew that they were joining that championship that year as well. So there were two other riders, so it were Ollie and Charlie Pearson, I believe they were called, yeah. So Hudson and a few of them other guys, they were all together, really fantastic. And it's a good atmosphere. Like, I believe like in the BMB, it's a really friendly paddock. Like a lot of people, everybody's always willing to help each other. I'm not saying it's not competitive, but you kind of, especially at the base level, like when they're 8-year-old, you kind of need that. There's nowhere to know where to start. There's no playbook on what to do. Hopefully there's a playbook being played out now where people are thinking, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to get an Ohvale bike straight away. Where I would say, like, if you were to do it all again, I probably would have bought him a mini GP bike at the beginning, right when he were 8-year-old. But you don't know that you have to do that. That's an expensive bike to buy. The supermoto route is a cheaper route of racing at first, and it's a good entry point. We've only just touched on his podcast where we talked about flat tracking, where we think that that's, if we'd have rewound and gone back to flat tracking and knew that that was available, Hudson would have gone flat tracking at 6-year-old, and he would have done that right at the beginning of racing. We just didn't know it existed, and would have done that for 2 years and then raced. He would have been a better rider at the beginning of his 90 championship, or first time riding a 90, if he'd have done a bit of flat tracking for a couple of years, but we didn't know it existed. So The B&B, I think it's an amazing thing. We really love that B&B paddock. There's so many people we know in there now. It's like we go away. It's fantastic going away on a weekend. All the parents are there. We know everybody there. All the kids know each other. It's like a big holiday camp. Everybody's there in the motorhomes, caravans, stopping in vans, stopping in hotels. I think it's a really good entry point to racing. Obviously with these Ohvales, obviously there's the supermoto entry point as well. It's good racing. I believe it's made Hudson the rider that he is today going through that paddock. There's obviously other championships available, like there's Fab Racing. They race all the way through mini motos. And if we'd have got into it earlier, Fab Racing, we probably would have gone there. We probably would have done that. But we didn't. It was a little bit late for Hudson to get on a mini moto at the age that he started. Some of these kids are racing mini motors from 6. He'd already passed that age.
My aspirations for next year are like, hopefully we're going to move into the 160s and progress up into that and do the FIM and stuff like that. But it depends if it's happening or not, but still that's where we're aiming to go and everything. And then we're going to do the 140 and that's where we're going to be moving up into. My favourite moment in racing was when, I think it was at Wilton Mill, and it were my first ever podium, and all the way through the start of that season, I was getting 4ths and getting into 3rd and then going back into 4th, and I hadn't got a podium, and I think it were the first podium I ever got was at Wilton Mill, and like I think I were battling with Daniel Stevenson, and we were switching through the race, and then we had Jack Newton in front of me and then Lough, I think, in first, and we were battling all the way through, and then it finally got to like the 3rd race, and I think it went down to how many races you won, because I think me and Daniel were equal on points, so I were either getting 4th or I were getting 3rd, and then it were to who got the highest points all the way through, and I got 3rd and Daniel just got 4th behind me, and it were incredible. We'll have to put some videos up, but like I came into pits and everyone was cheering, everyone came running up, and I got lifted up and stuff. It was amazing. It felt winning the championship this year was like, it was, because I've never won a championship before, so it was a big moment, and like it was obviously stressful, like probably one of the most stressful championships I've done, but it was amazing, and as soon as it ended it was just like taking off a weighted vest, and it was just so nice, and obviously the first championship I've ever won, so it were really, really good. Yeah, it meant to me that it was like a big boost of confidence, like to say, because I've always come 3rd and stuff like that, and obviously going back to trials, I never won a trials or anything, and to be winning the championship in the UK was like a big thing, and it was just obviously really, really good. Our biggest turning point was when we got chosen for the Michael Laverty Academy, and I felt like that was like a big inspiration for me, because like obviously a top racer, and we always used to watch him on BT Sport and that, and it was like he phoned us up and told us that we were in the academy. I was just like mind blown, and we heard about the academy and they were doing like test days and stuff like that, and we were just like amazed that it's all right, like your dad's saying it, but then like you see Michael Laverty saying it, and like him believing in you and seeing that you've got talent was like a big thing for me, and like big inspiration. Well, obviously we've got all seasons there, and we've got Egg on Legs and Clinton Woods boxing. I go training there, and obviously all my sponsors on Patreon, they always always supporting me, and like coming to days, and we all have fun at these like secret days and stuff like that. But it's been a big help through this year, with my sponsors, and obviously really big help. I love racing because it's just a whole different atmosphere compared to normal life at home and everything. And obviously travelling around the country, it's like a holiday every weekend, and it's obviously really nice, and you've got all different friends there, and they all know you really good compared to other friends, and it's just really nice to have people supporting you and people understanding that what you're going through, and people that understand you compared to other people outside of racing. Like, it's a whole different atmosphere, and it's obviously really good, and a good sport. People say you don't get a break with racing, and it's kind of true. We're always really busy doing days like this, and going out on bikes and picking bikes up, working on bikes, gearing, everything. And as a family, we all help each other, and as a team, we all help each other. And it's always really nice to have people behind your back and supporting you.
So, yeah, obviously, being a mid-pack rider, and then it's weird how you're really proud of watching him just finish a race, and then he's getting into the middle of the pack riding. That's really good. And then all of a sudden, he's at the front, top 3, top 5. And then that's another added stress level of watching them, where they're at the front end of riding, and it is nerve-wracking. Like, I always joke about, you can always see my heart rate while we're racing, and like, you're stood in the middle of the track, and you're like at 150 BPM, like watching them race round, probably more agitated or more stressed, or definitely more a heart rate than probably what Hudson is racing, while I'm basically stood in the middle of the track watching him go around. So it's stressful, but it's also there's a balance of proudness of watching him do that. Like, what average kid does that? His school's been like amazing, both schools, helping him out, granting him permission to do what he's doing, which helps a lot. A lot of kids have a lot of hassle with schools. That's a good part of it, and he's doing well at school as well. He knows that it's not all just about biking this. Like, if he weren't doing very well at school, I'd be very quick to pull the plug on what we're doing here, because if it were affecting his school progress or what he's doing at school, he knows that I won't be very happy about that situation. So the plans for next year is that he's got options. He could ride in the 110 championship again. He could ride in the 140 championship, mini GP. There's a 160 championship. There's a new starting 190 12-inch championship that he could ride in July, I believe, on that. Again, these are all Ohvale based ones, but there's a lot of options that he's got. And again, we'll go into the season how like we went into last season, which I think like his target last year, I don't know if he like said, oh yeah, just make sure you get more, let's see if you can get more podiums than last year, which was on his 90 bike. That was one of the targets that we had. Like, you got like 6 podiums, won like 3-5 races. Can you beat that this year on this mini GP? And I believe that we'll do that again. He's got a 140 bike that he's been riding on and off this year. So next year, probably one of the major focuses is going on that 140. You've got the 160 FIM championship, that's a big thing. And we're hoping that riders are going to get involved in that and push towards that and get another 2 UK riders out there to the World Finals. I think there's a lot of options out there. And we just carry on. It's each year at a time. It's not like some kind of massive playbook where you're thinking, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then this and then that. We just take it each year at a time. As long as he's enjoying racing, I'm happy. As long as he wants to continue racing, I'll take him racing.